Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode, Reading with Grandma. We're going to continue on our Treasure Down Fairy Tale Lane, Once Upon a Time book that we've been reading. If you've been following my videos, you'll know the classics that we have read. And today I have two more classics for you. We have Beauty and the Beast and Rumpelstiltskin. So let's get started with our lovely adventure, Beauty and the Beast. There was once a rich man who had 3 daughters. After a lifetime of prosperity, he fell upon hard times when the ships with which he made his living were lost at sea. His family was forced to move into a small cottage, which made his 2 elder daughters very unhappy. But the man's youngest daughter, Beauty, remained hopeful. One day he received word that one of his lost ships had sailed safely into harbor. He decided to make the difficult journey to the port to see the ship for himself. It was winter, and he traveled by horseback. His trip was slow and very cold. Worst of all, when he reached the port, he learned that his ships had been robbed. Now he was even poorer than before. In sadness, he began the long journey home. It was very cold in the forest, and it began to snow. The man could barely see the trail before him. Suddenly he spotted green trees and a lush garden in the distance. To his astonishment, he saw a castle rising ahead of him like a dream. He had stumbled on an enchanted castle. He saw a row of flowering trees and felt a summery breeze on his face. The man went a little further and found himself in the middle of a sunny garden. Instantly the snow melted off his coat, and warmth returned to his fingers and toes. He knocked several times on the castle door. When no one answered, he pushed open the huge door with all his might and stepped into the echoing hall. He explored the castle until he had found a little room with a table full of food. He ate his fill and then fell asleep by the fire. The next morning, as he was leaving the castle through the gardens, the man spotted a rose bush. He stopped and plucked a rose for his daughter. Suddenly, a horrible beast appeared as if by magic. "Is this how you thank me?" roared the beast. "I feed and shelter you, and then you steal from me?" The man explained that the flower was a gift for his children. The beast demanded that the man give up one of his beloved daughters to repay the debt. "Please, beast, take me instead," pleaded the poor man. But the beast would not change his mind. He did, however, allow the man to return home and tell his children what happened. The 2 elder daughters both refused to go live with the beast. "I will go," said Beauty quietly. "You have sacrificed so much for us, Father. Please let me help you." Beauty's father was very sad because he loved her greatly, but he also knew that she was strong and brave. The next day, Beauty and her father traveled to the castle where the beast greeted them. At first, Beauty was frightened by his terrible face, but he spoke gently to her. "Are you willing to stay with me in order to save your father?" he asked. Beauty looked into the beast's eyes and saw that they were very kind. "Yes," she answered, "I will stay." The next day, after Beauty's father left, she began trying to make the castle her home. The beast had given her a special room. It had mirrored walls and a clock that woke her by calling out her name. As time went by, Beauty began to feel happier in the castle. She spent her days exploring its wonderful rooms, corridors, and staircases. Every evening she dined with the beast. The Beauty and the Beast would stroll together through the enchanted garden. One day, the beast asked Beauty to marry him. "Oh, please do not ask me that," she told the beast. "I am happy here with you, but I miss my family terribly. I am afraid I will never see them again." Although the beast knew he would miss Beauty, he allowed her to return home for a visit. He let Beauty fill a trunk with gifts for her family and give her a special gift, a magic ring. When she turned the ring on her finger, it would take her wherever she wished. That night, Beauty used the magic ring. The next morning she awoke to the sound of her father's voice. She was home. Her family was delighted to see her. Later, as Beauty pulled the gifts from the trunk, her family marveled at the beast's generosity. "This is the most beautiful necklace I have ever seen," Beauty's older sister said. Beauty's family made a wonderful feast that night to welcome her home. Everyone gathered around and listened while Beauty described the enchanted castle and the beautiful gardens. She also told them how much she had grown to care for the beast. Beauty enjoyed the time she spent with her family, but as the days passed, she began to miss the beast. One night, Beauty took the magic ring out of her jewelry box and placed it on her finger. When she looked deep into the jewel, she saw the beast lying in his garden. He looked like he was very ill. "Oh, my poor beast!" cried Beauty. With that, she turned the ring on her finger and was magically returned to the garden. Beauty found the beast lying on the ground and rushed to his side. When she lifted his head, he opened his eyes. He wanted to look at her one last time. "Please don't leave me," cried Beauty. "I love you." The beast's eyes lit up when he heard Beauty say those wonderful words. Suddenly there was a flash of light, and the beast was transformed into a handsome prince. "Thank you," exclaimed the prince. "Many years ago I was placed under a spell by an evil enchantress. Only true love could have released me from it," he explained as he took Beauty's hand. "Will you marry me, Beauty?" the prince whispered. "Yes," answered Beauty. Beauty and the prince lived happily ever after. And now we are going to continue our fairy tale journey with a story called Rumpelstiltskin. This is a very old classic, and it's a very fun one. There once lived a poor miller who had nothing but his mill and his good daughter. More than anything, he wanted to give his daughter a happy and comfortable life. One day the miller had a chance to meet the king. Hoping to capture the king's attention, the miller boasted of his extraordinary daughter. He spoke of her intelligence, her kindness, and her beauty. He even claimed that the girl could spin ordinary straw into gold. The king was intrigued. The next day, he asked the miller's daughter to come to the palace. He showed her to a room filled only with straw and a spinning wheel, and asked her to spin it into gold by the next morning. The young woman had no idea how to spin gold from straw. At a loss for what to do, she began to cry. Suddenly, a little man appeared from her out of nowhere. "Why are you crying?" he asked. The young woman explained. "I can spin this straw into gold for you," he said, "but you must give me your necklace in return." The miller's daughter agreed, and she handed him her necklace. It was the only thing of value that she owned, but she did not know what else to do. The little man set to work. Soon the young woman fell asleep. When she awoke, the room was full of golden thread. The king was very pleased. "This is most remarkable talent you have," he said. "If you can repeat what you have done by tomorrow morning, I will make you my queen." He showed her into another room filled with even more straw. No sooner had the door closed than she began to cry again. Once again the little man appeared. "I will help you spin the straw into gold, but this time I will require something of greater value. You must promise me your firstborn child." The woman hesitated. How could she make such a promise? But in her desperation she agreed. The odd little man set off to work, and the young woman fell asleep. She awoke to find the straw spun into gold. When the king arrived, he was amazed. "Will you be my bride?" he asked. "Yes," said the young woman, "on one condition. You must promise never to ask me to spin straw into gold again." The king agreed, and soon the miller's daughter and he were wed. Though at first the new queen thought her husband was a bit greedy. She soon found him to be a sweet and caring man and a noble king. They grew to love each other very much. Within a year of their wedding, their first child was born. The queen was so happy that she forgot all about her promise to the little man who had helped her. It was not until he appeared at her window one day that she remembered. "Your Highness," said the odd man, "I came to claim what is mine, your firstborn child. Your son belongs to me." "Surely you will not take my child," said the queen. "I was a fool to make such a promise. Now that I am queen, I can give you anything you desire." "What I desire," he answered, "is your child. You must keep your promise to me." The little man squinted his eyes. He considered the queen as she cradled her child in her arms. Finally, he sighed. "I can see how much you care for your son. Therefore, I will give you a chance to keep him. If you can guess my name, I will forgive your promise." "Horace?" the queen asked quickly. "Is your name Hubert, Hal, Henry?" "Ha!" he bellowed. "It is none of those. I will give you 2 more chances to guess." With that, he turned and left the castle. The queen ordered one of her porters to follow him. The servant secretly watched the little man as he traveled deep into the forest. He set up camp, built a fire, and danced happily around it. He knew the queen would never guess his name. Meanwhile, the queen compiled a list. She sent for her royal advisers and asked them for the most unusual names they could find. They scoured the countryside and reported their findings to the queen. The next day the queen's porter returned to the castle. He had very little to report. The little man had danced around his fire all night long, but he did not speak a word. Suddenly a voice startled the queen. "How many guesses have you for me, your highness?" asked the little man. He had appeared from out of nowhere. "Indeed I do," she said. "Are you called Monty, Mal, Montevecchio? Well then, Orton, Orphus, Ortheno, or perhaps you are Balthazar, Bit Millimount, Baldheim?" The queen read every name from her list. "All of your guesses are wrong," said the little man triumphantly. "I will give you 1 more chance." The queen returned to her list of names. She again asked her porter to follow the little man. The porter found the little man in the same spot deep in the forest, and just as he had the night before, the man began to dance around his fire. This time, however, he sang a little song as he danced. "The queen's heart will surely break, for tomorrow her child I'll take. But now we play a guessing game, and Rumpelstiltskin is my name." The queen's porter smiled as he heard the mysterious name revealed. He made the long journey back to the palace, arriving only moments before the little man. "It is time for your final guesses," said the little man. "You do not look like an Alfonso or a Louis," said the queen. "You must be a Rumpelstiltskin." "That is impossible!" cried the man. "How could you know?" In his fury, Rumpelstiltskin's face turned red. He stomped his foot so hard on the floor that a hole opened up beneath him. Rumpelstiltskin disappeared into the hole and was never heard from again. In the end, the king and the queen, the handsome little prince, and the miller lived happily ever after. And that is the end of our journey today. I hope you've enjoyed our stories and all my other ones that I have. Please leave a comment if you like this and what you would like to hear. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 25 likes this time. And subscribe if you haven't. I hope everybody out there in YouTube land is well and safe and healthy, and your family is healthy. While you're cooped up inside, go to my channel and listen to all my stories. And we will come back another day and enjoy Once Upon a Time, treasure your fairy tales once again. Bye now.